And I think of those moments when I do something like this because it's like that's how it all started. But two of the movies that inspired it that I really just saw recently was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Incredible movie, by the way. Go see it. And Ralph Breaks the Internet. They had this kind of style where it's kind of like, you know, they definitely have moments where proportions and environments and characters were used, and that's what I'm saying. Those things are very necessary, you know, to learn those kind of things. And then they also have moments where it's just kind of like abstract kind of feel, and especially Into the Spider-Verse because it was kind of more of that stylized kind of approach. So it was very interesting just to see that all play out. And like to see that if I was to apply to something like that, which I've done by the way, I applied to Sony Pictures Animation just recently. That's the kind of style, and I applied to Walt Disney Animation Studios too. But that's the kind of style that I want to go for, and it's cool that that's already out there. So I know I'm not the only one that likes that. Okay, so I'm gonna make this line a little bit. I don't want to make it too thick, but I do want to make it thick enough. Maybe I should just keep it in this kind of work. Because sometimes you can overlap, and I don't really want to do all that. Yeah, but it's just really cool how that style is kind of being developed. And I hope they make a sequel to that Spider-Man, because that was actually really good. It was really, really grand. Now, you know, if I don't, that's what I'm saying. I don't shame people who draw characters or environments, and there are rules that you know, you have to follow for some of those things. But then there's also, you know, there's stylization, but then there's also making sure that the proportions are correct. And so those things are important, you know. So always value, if you are an aspiring artist, always value those classes, those fundamental classes. And most people, you know, some students might be like, oh, whatever. But I really value them, you know, even though I sense, you know, I kind of want to break the rules a little bit. And thankfully, my instructors did allow that in the beginning, because they had like us create these big art folders that we could stuff all our art in, and we could just break the rules by creating our own art folders. But there was a time to break the rules, and then there's a time to follow them. And so I really did appreciate that instruction for my art. And you know, as long as the proportions are down and the scale, and following, you know, basic drawing. Like if you I'm gonna save this real quick to kind of demonstrate this really fast. And of course I probably have to save through, I'm gonna go through this here to, yep, see, you can even see the white speckles here, and I think that's actually pretty cool, because I don't want everything to kind of be filled in. You can see a little bit blending there, blending a little bit there. And yeah, so what was I talking about? Oh, right. So if you wanted to create a character, this is what I used to, you know, I'm gonna start with a thicker stroke, because when I undo, it's just gonna be, see. So if you start out with a character, this is what I used to do. I used to just kind of do this kind of thing, because there's contour where you couldn't pick up the pen, you had to just kind of just draw from your eye. That was challenging for me to do in college. And then kind of, I don't know what this is, but looks weird. And so that was like if you were to just draw a head, right, you couldn't pick up the pen, you just had to keep going, and you would just have to like, and I know you can't see my tablet, but I'm not picking anything up, you know, I'm just kind of just creating by this. is his hair. And I know it showed that there, but I didn't pick up it. Just kind of lost in touch with tablet. And I mean, this looks goofy, right? But it teaches you, to really kind of just take your time and pay attention to what you're creating, and you'll be able to create some interesting things even out of just doing that. So there was that was a hard thing for me, because we did life drawing, and that was very difficult, especially when we were just like when we were creating silhouettes. So we would just and really, really quick. Some would be quick, some would be like 5 minutes, and some would be 10 minutes, 30 minutes. It just really all depend upon the instructor. And we would just create the holes for the arms, and then the legs. And I think we can even pick up the pencil, but for this I'm not going to, because I don't want to go too deep into this. The hair, the face, looks like a weird face, and just kind of get where the hips are. It was just a lot just trying to do that, but kind of dealing with basic shapes was important. But I think really, and that was challenging, but it was fun, but as I was initially saying, I would just kind of draw, like, I would try to get as much detail as I possibly could get. Oh wait, saving. Does it? So for example, oops, that's actually fine. If I was to do this, and draw the character's hair, I would try to like do all this. And then I would go into the eyes and then do all that detail and then do this. But I was taught, I mean, you can certainly do that, but I was taught, start out with basic shapes and really just kind of know where your head is, know where the body is, know where the arms will be, and then kind of build off of those shapes, and then create the circle for the head, So there's a lot of things that really assisted me. And you know what? I think it's actually playing in line with my I'm just gonna fill this back in, because I don't know if it actually, yeah, I'll just fill that in halfway. Even though I'm not really using proportions here, it's still like important to me. Like, I look at it just to kind of see if things are looking right or if things look off. So there is some rule and that's what I'm saying, right? Some rules that I'm following. Excuse me. But then there's others where I'm not. Like, this may actually look kind of weird, because it's like, what am I really looking at here? But I mean, proportion wise, I think even I'm starting to kind of build that out. Like, this is the foreground, this was probably the middle ground, and these background elements, even though you can't tell right now that they're background, are going to be background. So